Affairs analyst, Fred Nzako. Fred, good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Now, I'm certain that so many things were, going on in your mind when you saw what was happening on the floor of the Senate yesterday with regards to the Senator Ningi having to defend himself. So many expectations from my own perspective. I expected that he would bring documents to back up his claims, but we didn't see that happen. But talk to us how you interpret everything that happened yesterday.
Well, when the news broke about that interview, that inglorious interview which Ningi gave to BBC House of Service, I told myself that there was going to be rancor in the Senate when they came to plenary on Tuesday. And true to my expectation, there was already some rancor. But I was deeply disappointed, very disappointed that Senator Abdul Ningi, a highly experienced legislator who has been in National Assembly since 1999. For 12 years, he was in the House of Reps, to the point that he became a deputy majority leader of the House, and had held the position as chairman of several committees and subcommittees, and then has been in the Senate since for the past almost over 10 years. So I felt so disappointed that he could not push through his ideas. He could not even defend himself. As a lawyer, what we're always looking at is opportunity for fair hearing. Because if he was not given opportunity to defend himself, I would have held the Senate by the jugular, because I would have read several meanings and insinuations to what transpired. But he was given every opportunity. And instead of him to defend himself, I mean, the plenary lasted, his issue lasted for almost 3 hours, and within which he was expected to push through what he meant. And if he said that he paid consultants about 30 million naira.
Rather, yeah.
So if you paid consultants, one expected that the consultants possibly were paid to study the budget deeper.
Which he said they did.
To study the budget deeper and come out with the pattern that he was alleging. Now, the question is, where was the result of the consultant study? And he came with some loads of documents. And we expected that he should be dropping some facts and figures on the table. Ningi did none of those. Instead, he went on a mission of rabble-rousing and disappointing everybody who had hitherto loved him. Being a PDP senator, and a ranking senator for that matter, and a very experienced legislator at the federal level, I can tell you that Abdul Ningi thoroughly disappointed everybody and shot himself in the foot.
How so?
Shot himself in the foot because whatever he had planned to achieve with that interview had collapsed on his head. One, he went to the wrong audience. In the first instance, there was this doctrine that says you don't advise the king in the marketplace. You don't talk about the issues of institutions like National Assembly in the marketplace. The BBC House of Service, to start with, is not a lingua franca in Nigeria. So he chose an audience that will give him opportunity to whip up negative sentiments against the institution of the Senate, and possibly, in the opinion of his colleagues, against the South, against the Senate President, and even by extension, against the President of the Republic of Nigeria. These are all insinuations. But of course, you don't blame anybody for insinuating in that manner, because in the first instance, why would Abdul Ningi, who had a degree in sociology from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, after having a higher school certificate from College of Arts and Science, he's not an illiterate, he has been in the House, he speaks good English, at least conversationally good English. How would he now go to BBC House of Service to expose, in the manner of speaking, such very serious issue as budget padding for a budget that has already been passed, signed into law, has become an act and a law of National Assembly, and is being implemented? I think I think Abdul got a very soft treatment.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
He got a very soft treatment.
What should it have been?
What is 3 months? Many people expected that he would have been kept away for a minimum of 1 year.
And
That was the initial idea.
A minimum of 1 year. They would have been kept away. So that his people, within that period, when they feel very incensed, they could start the process of his recall. Because what he did was anti his person, anti his personality, anti his position, and anti the establishment that he professes. Remember that he took an oath on the day of inauguration to defend the laws of the land. That Appropriation Act has become a law of Nigeria. So if you want to talk about it, you talk about it in the hollow chambers. If he found out there were things that did not go well, in his opinion, of course, there is never a time, it's never too late to change what is not good. If he found out there was something wrong with the Appropriation Act, it is no longer a budget estimate. It has become an Appropriation Act. If he found out there was something wrong, he would have naturally raise an order on the floor of the Senate and then call the attention of his colleagues to that was not.
Well,
so that if he needed to be tutored,
he said he called the attention of some of his colleagues, the northern senators. They had a conversation that together, that was when they hired the consultant. Yeah. And then they took the matter to the Senate president, who said he was eventually waiting to see what exactly the consultant came up with. Yes. And that they should address whatever the situation was at the time. But he moved faster than...
Now, if he took such steps,
yes,
why did he now divert from the genuine process that he has started to go and address?
That's where the question lies.
To go and address to go and address
the press,
international Hausa public, because BBC Hausa service is not only listened to in Nigeria. Almost every Hausa-speaking part of the world, they tune into that BBC Hausa service because it is purely conducted in Hausa language. So he wanted to whip up negative sentiments. There's no other way one can describe it. And then if he had come to the floor and brought a credible defense, then we would have started listening and said, okay, this is possible, that is possible. But he never brought any defense at all.
But all the same, just like you said, one would think he probably would have spoken with confidence when he was being questioned as to why he did that. But it's quite interesting to see that the chief whip of the Senate said that he was not informed, that he was not in tune with what happened. And even another, I've forgotten the name of the senator, who also shared a sort of misinformation, a fake news on their northern senator's WhatsApp thread, which he had to recall, even on his Facebook and all of that. To what end? Because Senator Bamidele said to him, he said that he has not been happy, like talking about Senator Ningi and his cohorts, have not been happy due to the emergence of first the president and then the Senate president. So why do you think he would want to go that length to cause that?
Yeah, to what end is it? What is he trying to achieve?
Nobody knows exactly what was in the mind of Abdul Ningi, but we can only conjecture from what has transpired. We can only imagine what may have made him to do so, because if you judge by his utterances, it is neither here nor there. He has been going forward and going backwards without even bringing a defense. To start with, Senator Abdul Ningi is a PDP senator. He ran an election on the platform of PDP. So, on the political turf, he's expected to be in opposition, all right? That is one aspect. The second aspect, when they were running for office of the Senate president, Abdul Ningi was a strong backer of Senator Abdulaziz Yari. So, in a manner of speaking, his own candidate did not win. But as a legislator and as a politician with a lot of experience, one should expect that when everything about the election is over, you now transfer the whole thing to and focus to good governance, delivery of what the people elected you to do. And then if he had carried through or a hangover, if he's suffering from a hangover of the electoral processes the general election and the Senate presidency election, then he's getting it absolutely wrong. And the question was, if he even wanted to play deep opposition politics, he had every robust opportunity to do that on the floor of the Senate. My question and my worry has been, why did he go to address BBC Hausa service? There are many radio and television stations in Nigeria that speak English, where Nigerians will understand what you are saying, where even the Hausa man in Cameroon will not be bothered. The Hausa man in Niger will not be bothered. Anybody who speaks Hausa around the world would have heard of that. So possibly he wanted to shine in a manner of speaking, maybe, but I don't know where that shining attempt will lead him. Whether because after Senate, possibly he will want to go and run for governorship of his state. But we are looking at 2027 for the next election. And today he has earned himself a disservice to his people because he's not been on the floor of parliament for 3 months. It's a disservice to his people who he's representing. So whatever he had in mind to have done that, he had obviously misfired and shot himself in the foot.
Unfortunately, it's not only the Hausa audience that are now reacting to it. Even those who are non-Hausa are also reacting.
Of course, because even the international community.
And it is very sad that, when they hear the fake news, especially those who are not in support of the present-day government, they will always run with the fake news.
Yeah.
So what do you think can be done to change this information? Because if you watch the debate, it was very robust yesterday on the floor of the National Assembly. It was very robust, and they were able to, thrash the issue. But some would never want to change that opinion, and that would linger on for life. So what does this say about the image of the National Assembly generally, and all of those?
The naysayers will always believe that there's never a smoke without fire, and whatever you tell them, they will say there must be something inside it.
Yeah, because
Now,
he was asking some other questions.
Yes,
That was why the Senate president was saying that he was rabble-rousing.
He was rabble-rousing.
He was asking about nobody knows how much the Senate president takes home as a salary and all of that. He was mentioning some other issues.
Yes.
And then we saw also on the floor where some other senators now started saying some senior senators are getting 500 million naira and others are getting much more and some of that. So we are seeing some of these issues being springing up. So
the image of National Assembly had not been so well managed among Nigerians, especially that issue of buying SUVs. That was the latest incident that battered their image. That issue of spending 160 million to buy SUVs when Nigerians are essentially hungry and there are needs for money in our institutions. Today, SANU and the NASU in the universities are threatening to go on strike because they are not being paid. Today, the military on the front line are saying they don't have money to give to their soldiers that are fighting terrorism. The soldiers are complaining. The policemen, the mobile force that are on the front line are all complaining. And when there are all these complaints, coupled with the general difficulty, economic challenges faced by every Nigerian, especially among the low-collar Nigerians that are suffering massively, that even Mr. President has alluded to the fact that Nigerians are suffering and that everything that needs to be done must be done. When the Senate or National Assembly, for example, generally, are now spending such humongous amount of money to buy SUVs made from outside Nigeria, they didn't patronize that of Nigeria. Nigerians rose in unison to condemn such act of insensitivity and the flagrant wastages of our patrimony. Now, with that image that they are trying to patch up to do what is right, now Ningi has poured petrol into a raging fire. But unfortunately, he has not been able to convince deep-minded thinkers that he has anything meaningful to say with this issue of budget. Even when the chairman of appropriation committee, Solomon Olamileko Adeola, gave a manner of lectured him on issues that he was supposed to know, on issues regarding that budget, that extra 3.7 trillion that he was talking about. Yet Ningi was still rabble-rousing. He said that they approved 25 trillion and the government is operating a budget of 28.7 trillion. That tells you that something must have corrupted the minds of Ningi. If you go back to his origin, Ningi was said to be very poor with mathematics, very, very poor with mathematics, growing up and going to school in those days. He was extremely very poor in mathematics. But we expected that even if he doesn't know that 1 + 1 will give you 2, he said he paid consultants 30 million. Didn't consultants tell him that 1 + 1 gave 2? How did he now come out to say 3.7 trillion went into padding? I think it was an insult to the generality of Nigerians. I am one person that will tell the National Assembly when they get it wrong and they will criticize them. But in this particular one, it was Abdul Ningi that is trying to pop fire inside the raging, petrol inside the raging fire, trying to whip up negative sentiments against the leaders of the country at legislative level and possibly at the national level. And I say that the 3 months that was given to him was a pat on the back. He deserves more than that.
That were raised, talking about those who got 500 million shared to senior senators. We saw that statement also coming out yesterday. So it's not only Ningi that has spoken.
You see, me, I believe that you face issues as they arise. You don't cluster them. We are talking about padding. Now, Jarigbe rose up and said, some got 500 million. Why were he since? I mean, why was he since? Why didn't he raise such issue all this while? Why?
Perhaps that was an opportunity for him to speak.
And then at the end of the day,
he decided to keep quiet.
Why did he keep? You see, there's this doctrine of acquiescence that when you keep docile over a matter that you are supposed to talk about, you are complicit. You have acquiesced, in a manner of speaking, to what was going on. So I call that politicking. I call that politicking, completely politicking,
Senator,
which was not necessary.
Senator Bamidele offered an explanation. He said, well, that the 500 million naira, he confirmed it, that they were got by the senators, and that it is actually meant for constituency projects. And he said they should hold them to account if any of the senators
do not deliver.
In the chamber did not deliver in terms of boreholes, in terms of solar powered whatever.
What I expected Jarigbe to be talking, if he knew he was speaking in favor of the Nigerian masses, was to cancel this thing called constituency project. The legislator is not supposed to be an executive arm of government. They have no business with executive projects. That thing called constituency project is a corruption of the presidential system of government. Because what is constituency project? Because people will continue to ask them, what have you done for us? They are now compelled to come and say, oh, I did borehole for you. I tarred 2 kilometers of road for you. I did this one for you. Things that are ordinarily supposed to be functions of the local government system. That money given to senators and House of Reps members for constituency project should be channeled to the local government so that they will use it to serve the people. It is not their duty to execute projects.
Which local government are you talking about?
All local governments in Nigeria.
The one controlled by
the 7. That is what I'm saying. They should untangle such control.
Right.
They must find a way to untangle the control and the stranglehold of the governors on the local government system and allow the local government system, which is the government that is closest to the people, to breathe and then discharge its responsibilities to the people and not to begin to take it over and say it's constituency project. Agree that it is not cash given to them. It is projects to be implemented, but they control who implements them. They control the contractors that are to do the work. And then there are usually, most times, over-inflation of the invoicing of those projects. That is where it becomes worrisome. So they cannot come and tell us, oh, we are getting... If there are, in every state, there are 3 senators, why would a senator get 500 million constituency project and others don't? That is injustice. Right. So I stand with Jarigbe on that. The only thing is that he said it at a very long time. Now, the issue of Ningi has swallowed such a very important thing that he raised. If he raised it at some other time, Nigerians would have looked deeper into it and then have a listening ear to what he was saying and then look at it dispassionately. But he brought it at a very wrong time, and now Ningi's matter has taken over the shine.
Now, the issue that brought up this matter is the fact that the northern senators, led by Ningi, looked into the budget and felt that the north was skewed. The budget was skewed, so to speak, and that there was some level of injustice being done to them. And, you know, it begs the question of if we'll begin to see ourselves between these drapes that divides us as a country, we are seeing ourselves, instead of seeing ourselves as one, because now it's bringing up issues of South, North, you know, regions against each other.
The issues of North and South has always been there in our politics. And unfortunately, it has not been well managed towards ensuring unity and progress of Nigeria. And that is why we are of the school of thought that only restructuring anchored on true fiscal federalism can save Nigeria from all these unnecessary issues of divide and rule, dichotomy, and North versus South. Let every region take care, or zone this time around, let every zone take care of its needs and look after its people the way and manner they deem fit. If you want to create 3,000 local government areas in your zone, it's your business. And that is why we cannot stop asking for true fiscal federalism. Now, when we talk about restructuring, it is the same North that will be elite, not all of them, some northern elite, that will begin to kick against it and begin to say their walkout and frustrate the process. Now that they are saying, oh, some projects are not in the North, and projects, I think it is a terrible disservice to the unity of Nigeria. A very terrible disservice. Because, is it because the South has not been talking? The whole 8 years of Buhari's administration was a terrible catastrophe towards unity of Nigeria and that recognition of North and South divide.
How so?
A very terrible catastrophe, because 90% of Buhari's projects were in the North, even extending beyond Nigerian borders to Niger Republic. All right? So, and...
How about the Niger Bridge?
What are you talking about, Niger Bridge? Was it started by Buhari? Let's not begin to go back. We know the history. Was it started by Buhari?
But he did it. He completed it.
He completed it. How much did he put inside it? Then what else? What else? Do you know how many institutions that he took to Katsina alone? Katsina, just Katsina State? Do you know how many institutions, how many establishments that went to Katsina? Do you know how many things that went to Maradi? Let's not go there, because if you go back to Buhari's regime, you get terribly angry. What we are saying is that going forward,
Lagos about the express.
Going forward, I tell you that don't patronize Buhari's regime. That regime was a failure. I say it with due respect. That regime was a colossal catastrophe.
Choice of words.
Colossal catastrophe.
That's the way you see it.
It is what we are seeing. It is the fallout of that regime that we are seeing today. Look, sometimes people that criticize Bola Ahmed Tinubu are criticizing him not because he doesn't know what he's doing, but because he brought Buhari. Part of the anger some Nigerians had against Tinubu up to today is that he brought Buhari and supported him for the whole colossal 8 years.
No, do you think that was a proper statement? Because he didn't single-handedly, vote Buhari. We all did as Nigerians. So to say someone brought someone, is out of place.
We are living in denial. We have political godfathers. Tinubu was political godfather of Buhari.
But it was our prerogative not to have voted President Buhari at that time.
In Nigeria, let's not go there. When we come there, we will look at the issues. All right? Let's not go there, because you are speaking as if you landed from the moon.
No, but that's the reality.
Speak as a Nigerian who was here in 2015. Right. Speak as a Nigerian who was here in 2015 when there was that election. Now, what we are now saying is that if we have to continue this pendulumic dichotomy of North and South, it is better we restructure Nigeria.
All right.
So that all these issues will stop. Everybody will now go and man his house.
All right.
That is the only thing and the only solution that will save Nigeria from these unnecessary issues. Today it is Ningi, and the next day it will be another person. It has not ended though. This is just the beginning of it.
You think so?
I tell you.
All right, we have to leave the conversation here now. Fred Nzako, lawyer and public affairs analyst, thank you for your time on the program.
Many thanks. Many thanks.
Still ahead on TVC Breakfast, we'll bring you the news update. Do stay with us.